Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome back. It's very nice to see you here, although I think you graduated long before I came, some of you, to the business school. As like mentioned, I've been here for 5 years. My background originally was in economics, and then I worked for a period of time in the mid-90s in the software industry in California. And then I went back to school, got a PhD in organizational behavior, and ever since the topic of my research is creativity and innovation in organizations. And I've studied art in many different contexts, from industrial designers designing toys or cars, to people in the media industry, in advertising, and so forth and so on. And the nice thing about when you go to study creativity from one organization to the other, you see big differences, different forms of creative thinking. At the same time, you also come across some similarities in the way organizations organize the structures in order to facilitate the generation of creative ideas. And somewhere, I guess in this process of studying how people and organizations are creative, very recently, as a matter of fact last Wednesday, I managed to create something myself, which I would like to show you. How many of you are parents? How many people have children? Okay, over 89%. So I think you are going to relate what I'm going to say. For me, this was the first time, and what I learned from it is that no matter how much you prepare for it, for that moment, right? No matter what you anticipate, when it actually happens, the experience of it is like nothing you have felt before. And part of it has to do with all these different emotions that are involved. There is a bag of emotions that are very light, very bubbly. There's joy and happiness and affection and touching and kissing. There's a great sense of relief that comes with it. And then at the same time, all these heavy emotions kick in when you start feeling all the responsibility and the concern and the preoccupation about the future. And you're going to make sure that as a parent, you're going to make all these wise decisions about the future, education, personal development, the character, and so forth and so on. And what I find myself doing these days is feeling really heavy, this sense of adult responsibility, while at the same time, I thought, how can I really protect her from entering too early this process, that she will have to be a responsible adult, and she will have to make all these agonizing decisions. In other words, how can she enjoy this great part of life, childhood, with playfulness and foolishness and carefree existence? Now, the way just the way I described it, as a matter of fact, the way I felt it, is a very nice way to look at two different ways of thinking about choice and decision making, to some extent leadership in organizations. And some time ago, James Marks at Stanford took this idea of the adult and the kid, and he turned them into basic models of choice and decision making. The first one is the model of adults, in which we assume, not always correctly, but we assume that as adults we know well what we want to do. And we emphasize that as adults we must know what we want to do before we act. Right? So our objective must come before we take action. We emphasize behaving consistently to our goals. So if our objective is to go there, and someone goes that direction, we call these people foolish. We emphasize rationality, finding the most effective or efficient way to arrive to fulfill our goals. In other words, we treat our actions, as consequences of our choices. And that's pretty much what we teach here in business school, and what we've been teaching for over 50, 60 years now. The model of children is a bit different. Actually, it's quite different. Here we start with the assumption that children do not know what they want, or simply they do not care to know what they want to do something. Sometimes they just jump into an experience just to try it out. And because we make this assumption, what we emphasize is that as adults, we must drive them, hopefully in gentle ways, to do things that they don't want to do. From eating vegetables to learning how to play the piano, we try to drive them to do things that are inconsistent with their goals, because we believe that by doing so, they're likely to appreciate all these different aspects of experience, all these different things that are all around them that they initially reject, and they may actually come to appreciate them. And by doing so, they have a better chance when they grow up to become much more complete, much more well-rounded, possibly much more interesting persons. So in other words, what we do in this model, when we have to deal with kids, is we treat action not as a consequence of choice, but as something that leads up to better choices. We try to emphasize, to put kids into very diverse forms of experience, hoping that they will understand after they do them what is the reason of doing them. In that way, they're going to develop a much more diverse repertoire of behavior in the future. Now, one thing that has come all of the work we've been doing about creativity and innovation organizations in the last 20, 30 years, we've come to understand that although our companies have been historically constructed upon the first model, quite often this model is much better. And it is much better not for everything in life, not for all the purposes and things people do in organizations, but for some reasons and sometimes, especially when creativity is involved, the second model appears to be much better. And it appears to be much better, not in terms of replacing the first one, but somehow of complementing it in some processes like creativity, like innovation. I would also add our organizational element. So what I would like us to do here is just to play a little bit with these two different ideas. And I will introduce some concepts, then I would like us to have a discussion about how we can bring the idea of the child and the playfulness into an organization, and how this can be quite useful for creativity. And toward the end, depending how much time we have left, I would like to show you some concrete examples of 2, 3, 4 companies that I think they've been doing a fantastic job in integrating these models, in being responsible and purposeful, while at the same time being very flexible and nurturing these much more playful qualities into their structure. How does it sound?
Good.
Okay, good. Let's start with a little extra on that. There are a couple of different reasons here. One is that historically, most of us didn't know how to do that. Right? People back in the 70s and the 80s, they thought that you can nurture creative potential in the same way you manage other processes like efficiency or productivity.